about you. So we are saying that why do we do all these things? We go to satsang, people look for something. Simply, if you are talking from it's a very general sense, then people want some clarity. When they are carrying on their life, with their life, every moment if you want to take a step, want clarity, what should I do? So this is for a world view, clarity. You need a clear vision, which you call wisdom. Any situation happens, see, we are living in a very connected world. Anything happens, now you are globe trotting. You don't know, today you are working here, tomorrow your company tells you go to US or Europe or anywhere. So you are connected that way. So you need to know how you reach there. Suddenly certain situation is presented before you, how to behave in that situation. So if you have a proper reasoning mind, then in that situation you will decide according to that this is how I am supposed to behave. So exposure plus this reasoning, this is what is needed. So if your life is going in a routine manner, then you find some time, then you start thinking about the world. This is tendency which is inbred. There is a intrinsic tendency in human being to think. It is not that something in somebody, it may be, degree varies. Some are happy just with the small things, and then they say happy in the negative sense, not in positive sense. They are satisfied. Complacency grips them. No, this much is there, I don't want to know what is happening. But when certain situation strikes, then they say no, I want everything now. So such is the tragedy. So anyway, people just are curious to know. So they develop very many lenses to see from which lens the world looks perfect. So they, as I said, they went through history, somebody went through sociology, physics, everything. They applied every lens. And from where this world is looking me perfect. Can I wear such a glass from where every time I can see clearly whatever, whether I am in a water or in a space or in somebody has put a trench and covered me, everywhere can I see clearly. So this I am saying all metaphorically, not really this is the case. So people are looking for that kind of lens, that by wearing that they could see every time very clearly. So that finally, if that little deepens, then they will, if they find time, opportunity, everything going correctly, then they will become spiritual. Because from all other lens, whatever lens they may have caught, they will say its limitation is that. Beyond this, it is not doing anything, it's not working. It is not working in the sense it will bring you to the philosophy of that subject ultimately. And that philosophy will lead you to spirituality, that this is where. Because as I told, that this is kind of system you will come to know, that a seed at best can become a fruit. Now what? Both seeds and fruit and a tree are there. This tree is also there. What? This whole space is there. So these all examples have been given by people earlier. Krishna gave this tree's example very good. That he says, no, tree is there. This world is like a tree, but the only difference is its roots are up. And this tree which we have, physical tree, its roots are always down, the fruits are up. He says, no, that tree is just reverse. Its roots are up and tree is down. So this, because so long as the kind of products we are, we need oxygen. So long as we have to be there, trees will be there some or the other way. So such examples have been given which we can relate every time, so long as human beings are there. That's why they have come to the basics which are needed for your system. Like I said, you need breathing. For breathing you need. For food you need items. So such examples have been given. Given that, you have to identify that you are also there. Ultimately it becomes a system, you are nowhere. See, if you look at body from this angle, that there are certain ways it function. Breathing, if it is not breathing, then also you are dead. If it is not eating, on a different varying period you are dead. See, you can't reason, you are dead. So who are you then? So when the systematically you see, then you want to figure out, is there something like me or it is just a hogwash? So we say that no, some people figured out it very well, that no, you are there. Only but you can realize when you have reached to that stage where you can transcend your body. Until then you will not trust yourself. Problem is this. Otherwise, neither you will consider yourself as merely a system, because whenever somebody beats you up little, then you say, no, I am not a system, it is me who is getting hurt. You just cannot wash your hand and say, no, this is happening to the system. So because that is your limitation. So seers and saints, they worked at it and they figured out that no, if you sit in meditation, there comes a stage where you can realize that that is really a system. So it is different. That's why I say spirituality is very individual specific. This is not same for two people, because you are there as an entity. So you have to figure out that your whole system. So these all lenses has been devised for that, and then when people found that it is only spiritual lens, which means the lens which makes you free. Now these all values, don't you see, in political field also, we are political citizens, global citizens, we have nation states, and we belong to one or the other nation state. Then we have our personal freedoms. We have freedom, political freedom in you need. So much we fought for our national freedom, didn't we? Then we were subjugated. We united, got united. Why? Because everybody wanted freedom. So when there is something common, so common cause was there. So we came together and said, no, want to be free. Because this is in your nature. You are essentially free. So when you are feeling that even this political freedom has been taken away, the way you want to function, that's been taken away, then you unite. No, this is happening common to us, because it is too gross. This freedom is too gross when you look from the spiritual angle, because in spirituality you see whole world as one. Why do you need political freedom for a single nation or anything? So that is a field difference is so much. That is where the language becomes confusing. That is why if any spiritual person who has gone in deep meditation, they will never want to speak anything. That is their first thing. They will never ever feel willingly to speak a word, because they know the reality. Because once you open your mouth, you are caught into that useless thing. Anybody picking your sentence from here and there and making their own sentences and doing, you have nothing to do with anything. So you knowingly, it is like jumping into the muck. But because there is some good for others there. So that freedom is intrinsic. But this being material people, they could feel. So they could make a common cause and fought it. Now I am saying, when this freedom, when you got, you felt so much relieved. There is no Englishman subjugating you or anybody. You are free, you feel better. It's not too long back when the country was subjugated, so those tales are still there, very much alive. We can feelable, not much, though not that much feelable, because that generation is gone. But we have first hand heard that what all they have undergone. There is still this Andaman you have been currently, the jail is still there, it's a living monument. What all people have undergone for that. So what will be the quantum if you really tasted the spiritual freedom? That's why it is called otherworldly. Because the taste is like that this all becomes, you see, very much secondary. But since you have body, that's why I say it should be heard very clearly in a very discerning way. Because you have a body, all these you need, because you have a body. Otherwise, you will not feel that also. But that feel is there, that reality is there. Once you are into that, then you will know this whole process, how it is. So that is also called enlightenment. So So this all is essential and necessary, but still people are not looking at the way it should be looked. Can we do anything about it? We say no. If we were government, we say begin with education. Why you should ask this question? Why do not educators of the world agree on certain few things? These should be taught all across the globe. And those things will be which will leave the religion redundant. Otherwise, people will, in the name of religious freedom, they'll keep teaching nonsense. And it is worse when it happens at home. Anywhere it is not good. But children, they trust their parents, no? And there you feed them something. So then they get confused. Oh, this is what being taught in school, this is what being taught at home. You make them confused. So if something is so good, what are religious people saying? This is very good. Then why don't you sit together and say this is what is good? Why your neighbor is not agreeing? Neighboring religion, why is not agreeing? Or co-religionist, why is not agreeing if it is so good? So either you have not reached to the good, or it is not good. And then you are teaching also. Then you are giving that freedom also. Your constitution gives religious freedom, this freedom, that freedom. What for? Because you have not even thought through. So, you see, आप बहुत उथले में जा रहे हो. You are walking in a very shallow waters. Little deeper you think and you see, oh, it's a different world altogether. And it can be made that way. At least you can begin with education. There you can make changes. If that means you are saying the world has not reached to that state where even the ones who are leaders have become this much educated that they will agree with one another, yes, over the truths, not agree. Why? Because their primary is power. It's agreed, it is very clear, they are not hiding about it. Any country, only the language, you see, you can't openly say certain things because it sounds so crude and rude. Can any prime minister or any president of any country can say I am there only for power? He said no, I need power to do some good to you. Our national interest comes first. Such things. Which nation's interest doesn't come first? Then what are the common interests of every citizen that you put in every education and curriculum? So that the human beings are shaped that way. So there is a struggle that if you become too much ahead of the time, then people will not understand. Because you have gone the whole hog and you understood, oh, this is where the people are suffering. So you inch by inch you give, okay, one drop, you move this much. And that is how the things are moving. That is why it is taking so much time. See, this way we say and then picture looks so bleak. So we have to see picture in a very brighter form. So we pick up such things and say what good is happening. We say definitely crime is comparatively less than what it used to be. The nature of crime earlier was different. For a small thing you could have been, I mean, somebody may have taken your life altogether. Now at least there is a process, there is a law, everything, and things are going. Everybody get to speak, that freedom is there, though it is misused again, but it is there at least. Nobody is gagged. On paper at least it is there. So such things are there. So we are making progress and we should be hopeful that we are becoming better and better citizens, better and better human beings. Now I keep giving that example. If 197 countries she said yes to yoga, we have made a tremendous progress just by that. Because coming generation, at least they will read that and say why they agreed, there must be some value in it. Let us explore what it is. So you have exposed the whole world to the yoga. Now if they understood its real meaning, then their life will start transforming. what it is. Yoga means you cannot be separated. There is no choice for you. Certain religions tell, no, you can never be united. You will always be separate. You are God and you will always be separate. Now, how much time it will take for that to go? So when people reach to that level of universal education, they reason it without any bias. No, this makes sense. Because whatever the science has progressed, in degrees and degrees they have been coming to that side only so far. First they said unified field, then they said no, these are 4 basic forces, then they say no, there is singularity, moving towards that only, that oneness only. So through other disciplines they are moving, but where it needs to be there, they have not yet reached to that kind of wisdom that they, without any bias, they agree, no, for the whole earth this will be these few 4 or 5 things will be taught to every child, so that at least some commonality they have. That we feeling, if you have to generate, how will you generate when there is nothing common between you? So you, when I say you means child, a global, tomorrow's global citizen. How? So if they are from the very beginning they are being taught few things, that this is who you are, so at least that oneness they will stick to, and that will make them to have dialogue with one another. If there is nothing common, whatever I say, you say I differ. And why, what is your point? No point, I just differ. That means what? It's arrogance. It's knowingly, it's called dushtata. That wickedness, that you knowingly that this will trouble other person. So you are saying, you are not gaining any happiness by that. Your taste got spoiled. You see the sadist nature. This is how. So because you have never been to the yoga, you have not experienced that there is nothing like you. You are whole thing. So double way you make suffer. You are suffering yourself by doing, and the other being sensitive that anyway has to suffer, whether you are or somebody else is there. So this is very tricky situation. But when in school, if they are taught few basic things, that these are what constitute you, these are the way you should go. So when they grow up as world citizens, on basis of that this commonality is same between all of us, they will be in a position to continue their dialogue. And if continuation of dialogue is very necessary, it is like living is synonymous to, if you are not having dialogue, somebody in a society just say I will not speak anything, it is not good, it's not civic. You have to tell what is it is, then only you are sharing. So it happens mostly negatively. Positively, and you have become so enlightened that you do not feel the need. You means you understand by being in close proximity itself. That is called laya. That you already know what is being told or what is about to say. That is higher dialogue. That is not lack of dialogue. This is means evolved dialogue. And that is sensitive society, and that is something different. That's why we say then such things will not happen into the world, which we call negative things. So people experience that, and then they said these possibilities are there. That if the whole world becomes good, then that impact will be very much experienceable. If 10 people sit and meditate is one thing, and one person sits and meditates another thing. So this all maximization has an impact. That's why people go for view. That's why people go for different glasses, that from where it is clearly visible. Anyway.